Hello, hello, hello. I can see we already have quite a few people in the chat. Hello, everybody. Good morning from Los Angeles. Good afternoon or good evening, depending to where you are. Hi, Jens Harms and Hans-Peter Fleischer from Germany. What's up, Mark? And we have a Felipe from Czech and Portugal. Oh my God, he's in two locations at the same time. There's somebody here from, I think, China, you know. Hello, everybody. Oh, there is a Doug from Sweden with us, and Maroon and Rakesh. Hey, good to see you all. Oh my God, Blake is with us as well. Hello, Blake and Sandipan. Just say hi, everybody. Just say hi in the chat. Hi, where are you from? You know the score. We love to see you all here. This is our small little global colorist community. And it's been almost 2 months since we spoke last, since we went live, and I'm super excited, you know, to share with you what we've been doing. And as I said in the announcement, this particular release is dedicated to cinematographers, you know, because they have been adapting Colourlab Ai from the day one. And actually we were like talking to them and figuring out how they use it. And since certainly when we started, we said, hey, this is going to be an application for colorists to assist them with color grading and matching. But then when we saw like actually how cinematographers use it, we kind of just went like, of course, this is going to be an incredible helper for them as well. And we did a lot of changes and improvements in order to help cinematographers and assist them in their work. Let me see who's joined. Gary is with us. Hey, Gary, good to see you. And Andre, good. Andre, it's been a while. And Rakesh. Oh my God, yes, Rakesh. This is exactly for you. And Steve from Pennsylvania. I love it. No way. This somebody from Ethiopia. Can we please put a pin on Ethiopia on our map? You know, because I don't think we had anybody from Ethiopia before. This is our first Ethiopian person we have. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good to have you here. Now, before I start with the serious stuff, oh my God, someone is from Syracuse. Very good. And Ian is with us. Hey, Brazil. Very good. Very good. Before I start, you know, with the serious stuff, I just wanted to first pass my regards to the English football team. This is for my friends in US. This is what you guys call soccer. And, you know, there is this thing called UEFA, you know, Euro Championship. Even though it says 2020, it's actually happening 2021. It was supposed to happen last year. We all know why it didn't. And it's actually such an amazing feeling, you know, to see people in stadiums, you know, watching football. And what happened, guys, I have to tell you, just for those of you who are not really familiar with football. And, you know, this is one thing where I feel so homesick because, you know, just I wish I was in England now. I wish I was in London yesterday, you know, just, God, you know, what happens is this. There is this kind of, you know, England and Germany, you know, there's like two teams that, you know, have been, you know, playing against each other in this European Championship. And since 1966, I'm talking since 1966, England did not manage to beat Germany. Every time they played against each other, they lost. And finally, this year, England 2, Germany 0. Yes, and it was probably the biggest celebration that you can imagine in London. And you know, my best, you know, wishes are going to all my friends in London, you know, to all my kind of extended family I have there. Guys, I'm totally with you. I wish I was able to celebrate there. And, you know, I'm going to be watching on Saturday, midday, you know, our time. You know, we're going to be playing against Ukraine. So I really, really hope this team is going to do really, really well. And as Monty Pythons would say, just don't mention the war. You guys get it. Super, super happy for that. Okay. Then, oh my God, I went a little bit too far. I'm going to come back to this. Let's go now actually and start showing you a little bit to what we've been up to, what are the new features and what is going on. Okay, so I'm going to start with this feature, which we kind of announced already in Look Designer 2.4. And what happens now when you open Colourlab Ai 1.3, you just keep clicking onto your scopes here. And oh my God, I'm going to come back to this one in a minute. But here, this is what I wanted to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the world's first color grading application that has adopted Lachman Zones. And, you know, we are also going to put like a little, a chart that is going to explain what each color means. And also we're going to have a dual zones that you can be able to compare between your reference and this. But, you know, we just really wanted to rush this. We wanted to be first to say, hey, we are supporting Lachman Zones. And actually, we want to promote it amongst industry. We want to encourage all color grading applications, DIT applications, camera manufacturers to adopt this system. This is going to be an amazing help for us for two reasons. Number one, EL zones are scene referred. They are scene referred. It means we are measuring signal on scene, basically the real exposure. So far, we were able to do this only with a light meter. Now we can actually open a file and measure light inside that file as if we have a light meter on set. And this is an incredibly important help. Why? Because we work for multiple display devices and we don't necessarily monitor anymore output only. You know, when we kind of measure scopes or waveform monitors, we are measuring an output. So if I switch from HDR to SDR screen, my output changes completely so that all my measurement actually goes a little bit out of whack then. So what we really need is a control of a signal that's coming in. What is it that we have, that what came through and how we exposed it? And this is exactly what the EL scopes are going to do for us. So absolutely really, really excited about it and super happy that we're the first. And also, like, you know, I want to kind of, as I said, encourage everybody to use this. Now, a great news for you guys is this. EL scopes are going to work for any camera type that we support. For any camera type. And as you can tell, you know, we have quite a few of those. Look, you know, we are supporting now, you know, even a Z-Cam. We are supporting Kinefinity. We are supporting, you know, like you name it. We got it. iPhones, everybody. So basically, you know, you are going to be able to get EL zones for any of those cameras and you're going to be able to work with them incredibly well. So super happy for that. And also what's really nice in comparison to Look Designer, you see we have them in the place of the scopes. So you see as I'm changing my exposure, right, as I'm changing my exposure, I can see how my image is changing and I can also see the measurement of the EL zone. So you see like my gray is always my zero exposure. Everything that's yellow and kind of warm color is hot. That means over, you know, 1 point stop, 2 point stop, 3 point stop, and everything that is green, blue, dark, black, it's underexposed. And then we go 6 stops up, 6 stops down with the half stops around the skin tone. So, you know, this is absolutely, you know, unbelievably useful. I cannot tell you how quickly I have adopted to start using it. And actually, you know, once I had it in Look Designer, I just kind of, you know, really had to kind of scream to do this and have it in here. Also, what it is very important is that these are like all mathematically converted stops, you know, so you're going to really be able to control your image exactly like cinematographers would want it. So if somebody was to say, hey, you know, can you go and make me like everything stop darker, what you could go and you could say in printer lights and you could say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, this is now stop. You see, because I'm probably around now half a stop because my gray just became half a stop green. Then I go and say 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm full stop down. So because you see, I always told you that my printer lights are stop accurate. You know, 8 points is 1 stop. So now you actually have, you know, this full control as well, and you can control exactly what's happening with the image using EL zones. Absolutely amazing. All right. So another thing that we actually wanted to improve is how to use the Look Designer inside Colourlab Ai. And, you know, so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make it very easy for you to start working with the Look Designer. So there is a new shortcut and it's called Edit Command E. You just press Command E, and the moment you press this, bang, you are straight away in LUT Designer. So none of that, you know, go to LUT Designer, start a new ShowLUT. No, no, you just press Command E, bam, and straight away we're in, okay? So another thing that we kind of wanted to improve on the LUT Designer is we have now added all those fantastic new profiles that came with the latest 2.4 update. So you see, I got all of them here in, so I can now just go and you know, like, you know, and what really, you know, cinematographers like is this kind of a way that they can straight away pre-visualize, you know, how this work and get to the right skin tone adjustments, everything. So we have expanded our library of film stocks. What we're doing effectively is we are working with different laboratories and taking their measurements, because everybody kind of seems to get a slightly different result from film, you know, whether it's Photocam, whether it's Warner Brothers, whether it's, you know, lab in Germany or lab in Germany. And we have one measurement from lab from Japan, like, you know, who had this kind of amazing Fuji profiles that sent us over. So we actually like really building an amazing library that is kind of, you know, going to help you very, very quickly to come up with amazing looks. Also, like, you know, that S3 contrast that everybody was going like, oh, can we have it now? It's here. There you go. There is the S3. And then also we expanded our print profiles as well. So now we have like so many of them. So for example, there's the old school, the modern, you know, I like the modern, you know, feels like a modern. I love it. Right? And then I can decide if I want to do post-process or not. And there is like another change we did here. Since you guys are all in field and stuff like this, you know, no controls, we improved the responsiveness of these particular sliders. You probably noticed that, you know, when you were using the slider that they were like a very sensitive. Now we actually just made them just about the right, so that, you know, with the kind of, it's not too sensitive and it's not too hard, but it's actually much quicker and much easier to control them. So you still can use just the points, you know, like by clicking on the buttons as well. But look, you know, I can actually just much, you know, better, have much finer control now. I believe the controls were too fine or too rough, you know, depending, you know, how you look at it. Now, basically, I feel like it's so much more intuitive and so much easier now to come up and to control and get things done. When you're ready with your ShowLUT, you say, okay, I got ShowLUT ready. I can go and export it and you know, how to do that. Of course, you just say Command E again. And when you do that, it's going to tell you straight away, hey, just name your LUT. Remember, we had this big questionnaire. What do you want to do with this LUT? No, listen, just say Command E, and I'm going to call it my ShowLUT 2. So now you basically are super quick. You know, you don't even have to touch, you know, your mouse to save anything. Everything's just working, you know, beautifully fast without any problems. Okay, so now that I'm basically on that, I want to also show you another interesting thing that we have, which is called, and you know, we actually had even one customer telling us, like, you know, I'm going to leave. I think it was Ryan. Ryan said, I don't want to use the software anymore without scopes. And we were like, there you go. Here are the scopes. And not just that, we have a dual scopes. Look what that means. So look, I can basically go and, for example, load, like, you know, for, you know, an image. Let's say I'm going to load this image. And then when I go back into my scopes, I can measure my scopes for my reference. I can see where it's happening with my color in my reference, and I can see my scopes of my source. I didn't think about this actually until I didn't see this, how useful this is. It never crossed my mind actually how useful it is to actually have a scopes for source and reference. Really, and now that I have it, I'm like super excited about it. I'm going like, of course, now I can actually just go and start, like, you know, even balancing by eye. You know, I can just start, you know, changing values and, you know, just moving them and like roughly, like, you know, being able to establish to where things need to be just by, you know, moving my scopes in that direction. Okay, so this is like a really, you know, really big one, you know, that you know, I'm super excited. You know, it's just another step towards, you know, just making your work easier and, you know, just being able to match things better. Okay, then we added another feature. This feature kind of is lurking around, you know, we never really, like, you know, kind of, you know, made it public, but now actually we kind of have made it. It's a first step. What we did is we have invented, you're probably aware, but if you're not, I'm fill you in now, we invented a new LUT format. And this new LUT format is X01. And you go like, wait, why do we need another LUT format? And the reason why we need another LUT format is because the normal LUTs, .cube LUTs, have been around for quite a few years. And as if you know, they're just a simple text files, okay? And they do the job, don't get me wrong, they're amazing, but actually the way how we use ShowLUTs and the way how we use LUT has changed completely from the days when these LUTs were invented. So we just really had to find a way how to catch up, with how we're using LUTs today. So there are several problems, with LUTs, that we have at the moment. LUT is very fixed. It means it always works with one camera and with one source. So we wanted to change that. So what we did is we created a LUT format that is camera and source independent. So you don't really need, to make a LUT just for one camera and for one display. X01 is going to work for any camera and any display. So this is number one. Number two, there is also a problem that you don't really know how this image is supposed to look like because there is no reference. There is only like a text file, right? So let me show you actually. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly export this LUT. And then once I export it, I'm going to show you everything that you get. So I'm going to say export an X01, okay? Then it's going to hopefully give me this. There we go. There's a ShowLUT 2, right? I'm going to save it. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to delete this, ShowLUT so that I can then import it again. Because otherwise it's going to tell me, hey, you have this once. You don't need to do it twice. So I'm just going to go delete it quickly. And now I'm going to import it again. Okay, so the way how to do this, you click here onto this little plus. And then you say import X01 ShowLUTs. Okay, and then this is the one that I just exported. Now the first thing you're going to notice is this. The size of X01 is only 3.7 megabytes. Okay, yet it has a higher precision than 65-point LUT, which is about 10 to 12 megabytes. Okay, so it's much smaller in size. It's about 3 times smaller in size. Okay, so another thing that it is, it's protected. That means, if I kind of, send somebody my .cube file, anybody who gets access to that cube file can use it, can copy it and start using it. Well, not with an X01. X01s you can protect. You can decide whether you want to allow anybody to use it, whether it's just for own user, and a password or something like that so that they can actually start using it like that, all right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go and open it like this, all right? So now that I got that going, so look, this is now here, and then when I open it, look, I'm going to go and let's say edit metadata. It has reference image, so I can see to what result really I need to get with this LUT. So this is number one thing. Number two, I can write tags. I can say, well, this is my ShowLUT, design, maybe I'm going to call it. I'm going to then write something in the notes. Please check for exteriors, right? Then also, who created it, when it was created, everything is nicely written and described in it. So you don't just get some sort of file that you don't know what it is, with obscure name. You actually get full everything described into it, okay? And then there is another really, really important feature. Now look, we are going to make X01s an industry standard. So that means for free, we're going to give it away to any manufacturer who wants to integrate it. They will be able to get an SDK from Color Intelligence that will allow them to read and write X01s. And that means that they can be able to convert from their own internal format into X01 format. We want X01 to be an exchange format. But if you are using our image processing engine, what is happening is this. Look, I can double click onto my LUT, my ShowLUT, my X01, and all those parameters that I was using to create it are now available to me. So I can go and say, well, I really like this ShowLUT, but maybe I want to make it a little bit warmer and maybe a little bit brighter, right? And I can go and readjust it. So I'm not fixed. I don't just, have a LUT that can't be changed anymore. If I have my own engine, if I'm using look designer engine, which is going to be available, you know, on any platform. We want to make it available not just for DaVinci, but also for Premiere and Final Cut Pro. And if anybody else wants to license it, we're going to be open to licensing this engine as well. You're going to then be able to go and edit the XO1. So what we are really working towards is making the XO1 an ideal file format to exchange looks profiles. So not just the looks, but also CDLs, you know, your reference images, your descriptions, and also a way to protect your work. Because LUT is your creative engine. It's what you have then generated, and you don't want to be kind of sending it to somebody and not knowing what's going to happen afterwards with it. You kind of do want to know control. Hey, if I'm working on a production, then only people who you work on this production are allowed to use it, and they can't be used outside, and so on and so on and so on. So basically, you know, just a really an interesting way how to improve it and how to actually make, you know, this whole LUT exchange just a little bit better. Okay. Okay, so can I get that color checker screen grab? Okay, so hey doc, this is called Isabella, and it's a standard one, and you can go to Ari's website and you can just find it there. This is Ari's Isabella, and actually, you know, you download, I think it's Ari's software called Ari Look Creator. It's their little application. It comes with that application. It's you can find it there. Absolutely, it's a super beautiful image, you know, for this type of, you know, settings and controls. And this is really what I really like it. Okay, all right. The next thing that I want to show you what we did is still a little bit experimental. It's also geared towards look design, and I want to just explain you what it is very quickly. Is this? Have a look. So if I, for example, decide, I don't know, I want to maybe go and use this still reference for my matching, right? And then I go and press S, right, for still match, and then it's going to go and it's going to try to adapt it. Or maybe I can try using this one. Let's have a look how this one's going to do. So you see, it's just trying to basically go and give you some sort of, look that is, matching this particular, you see how it's giving me the tone. Or maybe I can go and make something much cooler. For example, let's try this one. Okay, let's use this cool function. Now, I don't always get the perfect result. Of course, I maybe think I would want to tweak it a little bit more than. So what we then have is we have this thing which is called advanced match. Okay, so I'm going to go and open the advanced match window. Okay, there we go. Now have a look, there is a completely new feature that we did in advanced match. So first you have to go and say start advanced match. So now basically it matched it, and I'm going to say match the reference still. Okay, so now we did that. Now have a look, I can then choose between whether I want to match color or no color, whether I want to match brightness or no brightness. We had that, but what is new is this slider. So have a look, I can now go and look what's happening while I'm moving the slider with my CDL controls, my live gamma gain. Check it out. I'm moving my slider, and as I'm moving it, I'm basically, transitioning between, in this example, no color to my match. And what I found is that sometimes, I don't get a very good, a reference match. I'm not 100% happy with it. And I just want to tweak it a little bit. Instead of me just grabbing the controls and trying to tweak them, now you have this kind of, mix of your control. So look, for example, I can say, well, maybe I wanted this one. And you see now when I control it, I can have maybe just a contrast match. Or, I can basically use completely different, match like this one, then I can say, oh, let me see how this was going to work. So now you have a much fine grain control between your matches and how the CDL controls are moving. So it's just basically another algorithm that is repositioning your CDL controls depending to how far you want to bring these two images together. Super addictive. I have to tell you, once I kind of start playing with this, I kind of don't want to stop. I'm constantly trying to, dial it in and out and see what's happening. Because, sometimes you really get a beautiful result like that. You go okay, let me just do this, maybe the contrast, right? And then see what would that look like, and so on. So it's actually really, really interesting. I have to tell you, if you guys like it, let me know. Start using it. This is something that we could be able to bring, for any type of matching. And so just so you know, we do have a brand new engine in works at the moment. It's just at the moment in a test phase, and we would be able to bring this feature into the new engine as well. But we just really wanted to give you this now, just to hear from you how useful you find it, how, whether we want to improve it a little bit and how we want to improve it before we actually finalize the release of the new match engine, which is going to be actually something, completely different. Actually, when you see that, you're going to really, really, really love it. Okay. Then I want to show you another thing, what we have now is we have improved the look deck, because, with cinematographers told us, okay, now I made a look, I'm now happy with it. Now I want to go and make a look deck, right? It used to be called PDF export. We just call it now look deck. And I'm going to go and say, okay, look deck 1, right? This is my name. All right. Now check this out. Remember we used to have these reference stills, right? And you had to put them into your project. Now what we did is we have enabled you to get your decks, your mood boards actually in. And mood boards are basically, like when you're first, starting to put your things together, what you do is you say, okay, fine, create a new mood board. And then, okay, let's say I'm going to call this mood board 1. Right? And then you can go and you can just put, your images that you think are relevant, for this particular project into that mood board first. So you kind of go and through, selection of your stills, and you say, okay, maybe this one is going to be the one. And, oh, I love this one, the one with the, Kate Winslet here. There we go. And then we're going to go and put this one. What this is, Thelma and Louise, looks like it, right? Let me put that one. So you put basically those shots that you feel are like a really good for you, right, into a mood board. Then you say, all right, let me see, maybe I'm going to try to match with this shot, okay, maybe this is the one, or maybe I'm going to try to match it with this shot. I love this skin tone actually much better. Then I'm going to go and say, okay, let me go now and export my look deck, okay? Let's call it look deck 1. And then what I want to do is my reference still, I just select my mood board that I just selected. And at the end, this is the candidate. Okay. And I'm going to go and export a PDF. Fantastic. Let's save it. Perfect. Exporting a PDF. So what, we're going to get now is, we're going to get basically ability to, let me just quickly grab it for you guys. 1 second. So this is my XO1 folder look deck. There we go. Bang. So you see, I got now my color palette here. We had it already, but here we are. This is all our images from our, look deck, from the mood board available to me. All the shots, references, everything. And why we like it that it's PDF is because the PDFs don't get affected by color management of Mac computers or PC computers or laptops or, iPads, whatever you decide. And they are keeping more image consistency. So when you send it to somebody, you're not going to get this kind of, shifts that we normally get, when we send a JPEG image and stuff like this. So it's actually much easier for us to kind of be more like a color consistent, with this particular look decks. And, it takes only one button. And then again, like it looks so professional. This was, always, one of the top features that we found cinematographers liked, because they were just able to very, very quickly present their work and the look that they're trying to do in the best possible way. So let's say now they like it, we all love it, this is the look. Now what we did is we made the export much easier. So what you do now is you just go, here is the button called LUT Export. Boom, you click on that. And then you can basically go and say, hey, I want my LUT to be 33 if it's for in-camera, or 65 if it's for post. It tells you what's the IDT that you're using, because now I'm exporting a LUT. I'm exporting .cube file. This is why I have to fix myself to what IDT I want. And but we left you the ODT for choice. And why? Why do we want the ODT to be selected? Well, for several reasons. Let's say you want to now pass this on to your DIT, right, who's going to be, making dailies, but you want them to stay scene referred, right? So what you do is you just tell it, okay, I'm going to go and want this to output back to Arilog-C. So this LUT is going to go Arilog-C to Arilog-C. It's going to apply the look, and then the DIT then can decide what output format they want to apply to. They can go HDR, SDR, whatever they want. Or what's really cool is, for example, we have customers, that want to load the LUT inside Red camera, and Red have got this specific way, that they have to, the LUT has to be in red, white, gamut, RGB format. There we go. You just click on red, white, gamut, RGB, boom, and There it is. You export it and you can load it straight into Red camera. And so on and so on. So maybe like, you know, I am working on my display in sRGB because that's what my desktop display is right now, right? But for my monitoring on set, I need to be in Rec 709, right? And now I have not just one option of 709. You know, I can output standard 709, you know, which is the SMPTE version. I can output Ari's version of 709 that's slightly different. Then there is a CI version that is unlimited 709, right? That is very good for film stock emulation. And then we have a 709 that's used by DaVinci Resolve and Resolve color management. So you see, you kind of have like so many, you know, these could be details sometimes, but you know what? When you're really working with it, and we have customers who are really working with it, we just had a major show actually go through the whole shoot, you know, managing all the color using exactly this process. And all of these little quirks, these things that I'm showing you, came out of that experience where they were saying like, oh, you know, Dado, what happens when we monitor 709 on our monitors looks one way, but when we load it in DaVinci, it looks the another way. So we kind of straight away managed to give them this different Rec 709 option so that, you know, it looks same in DaVinci as in the monitor, or so on and so on and so on. And they were using Red, so they had to have like, you know, basically that particular version for Red as well. So you see, now let's say, for example, for in-camera monitoring or for onset, it would be 33709, bang, I just click on export, and I have that LUT automatically also named for you. We've been following Netflix guidelines for automatic file naming. So that means that when you submit your projects at the end of it to Netflix, it's going to be already prepared for the submission to the backlot. And you won't need to have to worry about, you know, whether my LUTs are, you know, properly named according to standard or not. You know, we've taken care of that. So you just have to just copy them and send them. So this is basically, you know, and another, you know, a great feature that we just kind of trying to make you things, you know, really easy. Okay, now we're coming to the subject of HDR. This is another major upgrade with it. Okay, now look, I use Resolve always, like, you know, for my, you know, grading. It's my tool, right? And I always found very interesting that, let's say now in Resolve I want to switch to HDR mode. So what you do is you have to go to color management, switch, and this and that. And then once you switch there, then you have to go to your scopes, tell your scopes to be HDR. But then at the same time, if you guys know, your source viewer inside the Resolve becomes completely out of whack because it's showing HDR signal. Now check it out, what we did. So you click here, you say, I want to output to HDR in P3D65, which is the Netflix standard. I'm just going to click on that. And with one click, I've switched it to HDR output. So now my SDI is HDR. But my scopes have automatically adopted to HDR scale. So you see I have a now nit scale, which is what I want. I want to have a nit scale of my scopes. Of course I do, because I'm monitoring, I'm outputting HDR. So my scope's smart, you know, they recognized, hey, this guy or girl is using HDR output. Let me show them what actually they're outputting. And most importantly, my source has got adapted, has got color managed to whatever you set here. So basically, if you go into your Colourlab preferences, here in display color management, you select what your display profile is, your desktop display. And then what we do is we take this HDR signal and adapt it for your display. So your desktop stays looking correct SDR. But listen, guys, if you had an HDR, if you had an XDR display, you would be able to see this in XDR as well, in HDR as well. But, you know, so what we do now is we actually do all of those settings for you. All you have to do is just select what format you want to output it to. And the same thing happens again. I want to go back to my, you know, SDR mode. Now, by the way, I included all these things, like, you know, so if I'm working on Mac Pro, I can also select, there is a special setting here, by the way, which is called Apple Pro P3D65. If I select that, then my Mac Pro display is my exact version. No, I get exactly things looking in P3D65 adapted for my Mac Pro. Right? Or, you know, my display, this is an LG desktop display, which is sRGB. I just click to sRGB, and look, you know, my scopes, my everything, you know, has adjusted for me. So it's super easy to flick between HDR and SDR. It's another thing that cinematographers told us. They say to me, no, they just, and they want to say quickly, hey, can we just quickly see it in HDR? And then it has to go, okay, HDR, then scopes, oh, then my desktop, then, you know, it's just too many clicks. And when you have too many clicks, you don't want to switch between one another because it just takes too much time. It's too slow and you kind of just not end up checking enough. Where I think it's very important that throughout your work, you keep checking how your HDR and SDR is looking. And if it takes only one click, you're going to be doing that. Trust me, you are. And as you're checking it, you're going to make less chances to make a mistake because you will be checking quicker. How's my HDR? How's my SDR looking? You know, once we actually manage to integrate, you know, our monitoring devices into it, you will be able to actually get your display devices to work absolutely perfectly like that as well. Okay. So I want to now, like, you know, just load a quickly one image sequence to show you a couple of other things that we did to improve the workflow, you know, which is now, like, let's say we already have finished, you know, everything and we brought dailies back, okay? Now here is like a small improvement, you know, that we did with the camera profiles, that now you have default camera settings. So in case, you know, you don't want to worry about automatically recognizing what the setting is, you can just set what your default is, and as long as, you know, the system recognizes the same type of metadata, it's always going to be using this IDT. So you see it recognizes this is an ARRI, and it's going to go and say, okay, great, so now it imported this file format. Okay, great. So let me show you now. Imagine I just loaded dailies. That's all I did. I finished the shoot, and you know what? This is now cinematographer setting dailies up. It's not actually, you know, DIT just doing the dailies immediately. No, because cinematographer now says, well, you know what? I want to be in charge of dailies first, just to check what they like. And because it's so quick and easy for me to do it with Colourlab, before I send it to DIT and get the DIT to start rendering, or what happens a lot, by the way, the DIT doesn't even make dailies anymore. The DIT is just operating live grade on set. What happens is that you kind of just send your cards to the lab and you hope, you literally pray that whoever is on duty at that particular day in the lab is going to do things correctly. And if you want to avoid that kind of situation, oh, please God help us that they do things correctly, what you do is you quickly open your dailies before you send them over, like I did now. Okay? And then what you do is you say, okay, there is this show look we just created, so we're going to go, and let me just find the shot which is kind of a little bit better, maybe this shot, right? So I'm going to go and say, okay, I'm going to apply my show look. This is my look now, all right? And, you know, and by the way, this has everything set up. And now there is this new shortcut, which is called Command Option, Command Alt and V. So when you press that, what is going to happen is that all of your, okay, let me just do this again. It should work now. Oh, maybe I need to go and just first make some adjustments. Sorry, let me just go and make a little adjustment here. I'm going to go make it a little brighter and a little contrasty like this. All right. Now, please give me Alt, Command, V. All right. Now, you see, this is a demo effect. For whatever reason, it decided not to do it. Let me see. Command, Option, and Paste. It should do it. No, it didn't. My God, I have to check it why it's not doing it. It was working up to now, I don't know. All right, anyway, I'm going to go and do this like this. Apply to unmatched, because this is another way that you can do it if it actually doesn't do it like this. All right, perfect. Now it applied, you know, this ShowLUT to everything else. We got it. Okay, perfect. So it's there. And then what I do is I go like this. I go into my add Lachman zones, okay? And then all I have to do is I have to take my color wheels, all right, and say, oh, something's red. I think I have to bring my highlight down. Perfect, now I'm good, excellent. Let me see here, oh, this is definitely too red. Let me go and bring everything down, right? So I need to kind of bring a little bit my gamma down, but actually I'm just gonna go and work on my highlight. I don't wanna kind of, you know, have nothing burning out. Perfect, so this is good. And look, I actually do this very, very quickly. You know, I'm now this shot here. Where is this shot? Let me see, this is the cars here. Okay, they're looking absolutely good, you see, because all I'm doing now is I'm making sure that I got nothing burning out, right? and that I also have like a, you know, enough detail that my car is always around, like, you know, grayish, you know, whatever I'm focusing on, wherever the exposure is supposed to be 0, in my case, this is particular car now, I want to be around gray, yellow, green. This is roughly kind of where I want it to be. So I just definitely need to open this car a little bit. So now you see that car is like a little bit grayish. That's good. Let me see now this one. So it's a little bit under. So let's open it up a little bit here. Actually, let me go. I'm going to go bring this one down and then just open this one up a little bit and so on. This one's definitely fully down. So we need to open it. So yeah, I can just very quickly just go and readjust my exposure values to this is perfect. This is good. Oh, I'm burning out. You see, white means you are way, way, way out. Now, because I'm shooting into the sun, there is nothing I can do here, so I have to go and leave that. This one is a little bit under, you know, so I'm just going to go and apply this here. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go and get this one just a little bit open and so on. So you see, it's like it's just a very quick pass. I don't even have to, like, you know, do it on every clip if I'm super happy, if I expose everything correctly. This is too black, so I need to go and open it. Now I have a gray in their faces. I know now the face is exposed correctly. And check it out. Everything is now like perfectly exposed. I applied, you know, with one shortcut my ShowLUT, and that look that I wanted with this ShowLUT to be applied, and this has been matched using daily setting. And now I'm super, super quick, you know, to just double check using a Lachman Zones what's happening. Bam, no time at all, and yet you adjusted everything to look absolutely fine. You just balanced the whole dailies to look at it great. Now comes one more thing. How about I now show this to director before I send it out? Of course, you know, why would I kind of, you know, if I'm in the position, we are both on set, and, you know, how could I do this? But, you know, director sitting a little bit over there, how would it be if I was to able maybe to take this little device, which is, you probably recognize it, it's the new iPad Pro, right? And I was to say to director, hey, I want to show you how things look like. Okay, no problem. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go now into Colourlab Preferences, okay? And inside the Preferences on video output, I'm going to select something which is called Enable NDI, okay? So I'm going to go and say that. Fantastic. And then I have a little NDI application here, you know? And by the way, guys, you know, just watch this space, because what we are going to be doing with this particular technology is absolutely amazing. As in, you can see, I have now on my iPad my NDI signal, and I am streaming, and you know what? The quality of this display is something else. I have to tell you this. I mean, this is just something else. Let me just go and refresh this feed, because I have, before I prepared it, I just have to go and reconnect. It's absolutely amazing. Actually, you know, the quality of this image at the moment, you know, I'm only using like a third-party application, which is basically, you know, doesn't really support all this wonderful stuff that we want to introduce to it. You know, we definitely want to go and say, hey, let's work in HDR, let's work in this and that. But you see, I can just go and just, you see, my same image is now displaying here. And if I press play, right, I'm also able to, you know, see the playback on my particular device. So absolutely beautiful. So now I have also, you know, a playback. Actually, let's just go and playback, because I was here at the end of the timeline. So let's just go playback just to show you. See, I can now play back to the director everything. And then I say to the director, oh, by the way, you know, since this display is P3, you know, why don't we go and do this? So no problem. I just go and flick here. Apple Pro P3D65, and instantly my NDI playback is in P3D65. And this NDI that we are using right now, by the way, is 16-bit, okay? It doesn't support HDR at the moment, but watch this space. That's all I can say. Just watch what's happening. And you know what? I was just thinking before I started this stream, I was just thinking about something. Check it out. I have like a little, MacBook Pro M1 because I'm testing something with M1 at the moment. It cost me, what, $1,300. And, I have this, iPad, which cost me, less than $1,000, $1,000. And together, these two items cost me less than what my innovative cart used to cost. I had this gorgeous, DIT card made by Innovative. And actually, that cart was more expensive. And that was just my beginning. Once I had the cart, I had to go and put, a rack and then MacBook Pro, blah, 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 stack up with equipment. And then I would go get the Flanders monitor, get this, get that. Now I have this little MacBook that does all this amazing grading and control, for me, and this kind of, amazing little monitor, that looks better than, honestly, when you put it next to X300, you just go like, how is this possible? And what, for less $2,500, I have a full mobile grading system that gives me all the LUTs and allows me, to kind of, match things quickly and play them quick. It's just mind-blowing how quickly this is going and how good this technology is becoming and how portable this is as well. Because, I put this in a little bag and I'm done, I have everything in no need to carry big carts around me anymore to do it, just this. That's all I needed to do. I'm a cinematographer. I want to take control over my image. I'm going to do this. Now that I've saved it, applied all of these things, now I can just send it to Resolve and send to my DIT Resolve project and say, here you go. You can start rendering the dailies. I already checked everything. Everything's looking absolutely fine. Jamie's asking what application is using. There is only one application, by the way. You can't miss it. It's called an NDI monitor, and it costs $9.99. But we will be making our own. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say that, but now I did, so you know. Okay, so this is basically what I got, for you. So I have a couple of more things I really wanted to share, guys, with you. So a couple of more things that are really, really, really important. Because we support NDI, okay? Now, on the same computer, you can actually connect Scopebox or Omniscope. You don't need to have a separate computer. If you wanted to, if you already have Scopebox and Omniscope, amazing. You can just switch the NDI and be able to connect it. Okay? What also we're going to do to all our customers, I'm going to send out later on today an email, which is going to give you instructions how you're getting the new update. And also we managed to negotiate a special discount with Scopebox and with Omniscope to how you can get those applications. They are professional scopes. You can go and download trial and try it out yourself. And if you like it, we have a special discount for you in case you really want to have a very good professional, scope monitoring on the same computer you're using at the moment. So basically, this is another, piece of great news. And then I have another piece of actually very, very exciting news for you, which is this. Okay. We are organizing with Color Training a course with Column, which is called ShowLUT Design. Okay, and it's starting on July 19th for a period of 2 weeks. This is going to be the most comprehensive ShowLUT design course that, we've created so far. And, you're absolutely, guys, going to love it. I've been working together, to make this program. And, I think that if you're interested in this subject, if you're a cinematographer and you want to really, get in control of your ShowLUTs to understand the color science, he's going to teach you all the other applications that are also used. We got a special discount as well for something called Lattice. Also, you're going to be working with Look Designer, and you're going to be able to deploy everything in Colourlab Ai as well. You are really going to be well equipped, to go and manage, this process of ShowLUT creation. This is going to be really, really comprehensive study that we hope one day is also going to be the reference training for that. Okay? So the bookings start tomorrow because, you know, we do have a very limited amount of spaces, you know, for this course, and we just did not want to kind of, you know, just, you know, randomly just, you know, open it up. So just so you know, tomorrow we're going to open the bookings and they're going to be limited. We're not going to be able to make this course very big because, you know, there's only so many people we're going to take because there's a very, you know, like you're going to have one-to-one as well training, you know, your LUTs need to be tested and so on, and we need to make it manageable. So there is nothing on the Color Training website at the moment, but if you go there tomorrow, you're going to be able to go and make a booking for this course. It's going to be absolutely, absolutely fantastic. And that is it. And yes, he's the guy who makes the DCTLs, which is why I love him so much, you know, and he knows his stuff. I can tell you that, you know, he used to be actually our student back in the days, and I love to see, you know, what he's doing at the moment. I just couldn't be happier to have him do the training. You know, like I honestly, you know, I can tell you that the only people who will do training at Color Training are people who are much better than we are. So, you know, he's definitely deserves that. And then for the end, I want to play you a little video of one of our factory drivers. And, you know, his name is Richard Oldfield. And he is actually somebody... oh yeah, by the way, before I start with the... Yeah, we had one more slide. Look Designer is out, 2.4, finally. You know, we just had to wait, guys, to license at Lachman Zones. So this was really the reason why we were waiting. You know, we couldn't release it publicly before we didn't have the licensing in place. So now that is all finished, we signed the deals. We have basically, you know, the rights to at Lachman's Zones, and now the Look Designer 2.4 is out. Just go to the website and download it. If you have a license, it's going to be there. Marcello's been updating in the background, and I hope he's pushed it. We agreed that we're going to push it just before the event. So we have actually an updated version that has just come out now with official, like, you know, at Lachman Zones. We did some improvements with it. So please go ahead and download it. The Look Designer is actually there. And then, as I said, I'm gonna play you a video from our factory Java called Richard Oldfield. And the reason why I selected Richard, because Richard is exactly an example of a customer that I'm talking about here, cinematographer and colorist. And I strongly believe that the cinematographer of the future, that the next Roger Deakins is going to have to know color grading, or is going to be using color grading. You know, whether they want to call themselves colorist or not, I don't know. But they will know how to color grade because, you know, cinematography is really going to become more and more dependent on this post-processing, on ShowLUTs. If you really want to achieve that outstanding results, if you really want to turn your boring digital camera into something really exciting, you're going to have to know how to make ShowLUTs, right? And Richard Oldfield is going to explain you exactly how he is doing that at the moment. I really hope, guys, you enjoy this. I'm going to be here staying on a chat, you know, as well while this is playing. And otherwise, I'm going to be on Discord later on if you're in our group. Hope you like the presentation. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Hey, Raphael, good to see you here. And I'm going to, guys, speak to you very soon. Here is Richard Oldfield.
Hi, I'm Richard Oldfield, a cinematographer and colorist based in Melbourne, Australia. It's so important for any film production, large or small, to have all the creative departments work in harmony, all directing their efforts to achieve the director's vision. Having a ShowLUT to monitor with on set and in post enables all the creative departments to work towards the same visual goal. Look Designer is a Swiss Army knife of a plugin for DaVinci Resolve, and it can be used in so many ways. In this video, I'll show you my workflow for designing a custom ShowLUT using Look Designer, and then how I work with that LUT to manage my color pipeline during the grade. I'll be demonstrating this on a comedy short that I worked on recently. I'll also show you how the plugin GrainLab gives a moving image added texture with its generative grain. Let's head over to Resolve. I've got a few clips from the short film on the timeline. I just wanted to say a thank you to our director and co-writer, Niamh Donohoe, and cinematographer Alice Stevens for allowing me to use this footage. Let's start by taking a look at our reference images. You can see that although this was a comedy, which is usually associated with warmer tones and a flatter contrast, the director wanted to bring in cooler tones, a subtle lean towards green in the shadows, and more of an energetic contrast. I'll bring up 2 clips from the production's camera tests. I asked our DP to shoot the camera tests with the same color temperature lighting fixtures that would be used during the principal photography. In our case, this was 5600 Kelvin, and to expose for the skin. We didn't need a variety of test clips to help build the ShowLUT, as this film was shot in just the one location. Okay, so let's begin to build the ShowLUT with Look Designer, using our references as a guide. I'll drag them onto our timeline to give us a side-by-side. Make sure the interpolation is set to tetrahedral for more accurate rendering. I decided that this reference from the film The Secret Life of Walter Mitty would be a good place to start. Of course, references are just a guide, but we might as well head over to IMDb and take a look at the tech specs of this film. We can see that it was shot on various 35mm Kodak film negatives, and it was printed on Kodak 2383. And I'll keep that in mind when I'm building the ShowLUT. So let's drop on Look Designer and begin to build a ShowLUT that's designed for the camera's color space, gamma, and contrast. I'll bring up our reference. This production was shot in Canon's Cinema Log 2, so let's select that as our input profile. Look Designer has you covered in most cases with your delivery requirements, and it is really great to have this flexibility. For this production, I'll be delivering in Rec 709, so I'll choose one of the 4 options here. Rec 709 by Ari is based on Ari's tonal and gamut mapping. Rec 709 by CL gives you a large volume of gamut and is a good place to start if you're looking to use the film profiles. Resolve Color Management 2 allows you to work with DaVinci's color management, and Rec 709 ODT is very neutral, and it's based on the SMPTE standard. I'm going to be using the film profiles to build my ShowLUT, so I'll use Rec 709 by CL to have a wider gamut to start with. Next, I'll choose my contrast. A number of options to choose from here. 2383. I'll dial that in. Yep, that's looking good. Then my print stock. Again, 2383 is putting me in the ballpark, but I need to pull back that saturation just a little bit, and I'll do that by enabling the film print emulation. This also gives us a more accurate film profile. Just dialing that one in. Around 0.8 seems to be giving us a good result. I'll blend my look back to the original with the global blend slider. This helps just roll things off a little bit. Next, I'll choose my negative. And I really like these Gen 2 options. These profiles only affect your color and not the contrast of your image, which really helps dial in the color you want. Again, I'll look at the Kodak options. 5279 feels good to me. I'll change the white point and bring in some cooler tones with the temperature dial, cooling things off a little bit. I'll head over to the printer lights, try and bring in some color separation. Really just trying to get the skin tones to separate from that back wall. Then onto the subtractive color. This toolset mimics how light reacts when it passes through the 3 colored layers of emulsion found inside a film roll, removing the frequencies of light. Sliding these dials to the right expands saturation in the shadows, really giving your image a heavier feel with deeper color. You'll just need to adjust for your loss of exposure here with the push and pull slider. I'm happy with that. I think it's looking good. LUT Designer has made technically checking your LUTs as you build them really easy, with access to test images right inside the plugin. Looking at the tone map, this lets you check that you haven't changed the tonal response of your captured footage. We want our neutral grey lines to be on or around 400, and our top and bottom to round off nicely with nothing clipping. The saturation ramp chart represents fully desaturated at the top to full saturation at the bottom. Looking at the vector scope, we can see how well the colors are distributed and check for any out of gamut errors. We're looking here for any banding or distortion. The lightness ramp shows us how the highlights are rolling off, and again, we're looking here for any banding. Cinematographers will love this one. The Lachman Zones represent light in a non-linear way, in true stops. We perceive light logarithmically, log base 2, and we now have a way to monitor that inside DaVinci Resolve. Grey represents neutral grey, yellow 1 stop over, orange 2 stops, and so on. We have the highlights on the face hitting just 1 stop over, and I'm happy with this. Now we can export a 33-point cube for on-set monitoring and a 65-point cube for post-production. Then we just grab a still for ourselves and now we're ready for the grade.
For this production, I set up my grading workflow to emulate a traditional film process. When shooting on film, a specific film negative would be chosen to meet the creative intent of the production. And once exposed, this negative would be processed at the lab and printed back onto a print stock for distribution. So right now we have a ShowLUT, acting as both my film negative and my print stock. But when it comes time to grade, I like to split this into 2 instances of LUT Designer. One instance to act as an IDT and film negative on the group pre-clip level, and the other instance to act as my print stock and ODT on the timeline level.
I'll head over to the timeline level and drop on our ShowLUT. For this workflow, I'm going to work in the Log-C color space, so I'll need to consider that when setting up my IDT and ODT for this pipeline. I'll set the input profile to expect Log-C, and for this instance of LUT Designer, I'm not going to need the film negative, so I'm just going to bypass that. I find my workflow does change project to project, but generally I group my shots as per the scenes in the script, and this lets me ripple corrections throughout the scenes. So I'm going to make an office group, and I'll also make a boardroom group. Heading over to the group pre-clip level, I'll apply my ShowLUT again and set it up to transform my color space into Log-C. This instance will also act as my film negative, so I'm just going to need to bypass everything else. I would apply any MTF next, if needed. Next comes the grain, and another one of Colourlab's powerful plugins for DaVinci Resolve is GrainLab. I'll drop that on. GrainLab adds not just a layer of grain that sits on top of the image, but a generative grain that blends with the camera and interacts with the image. We have control over the shadows, all the mids, with this body intensity, and the spark intensity are highlights. Having the grain constantly change like this we're able to trick many compression algorithms into leaving more grain in the image. The added texture and depth excites the image, pulling the viewer closer to the story. If you apply GrainLab on the group pre-clip level, all the color gets applied further down the pipeline, which allows consistency when switching output transforms, for example from SDR to HDR. I'll stick with Kodak 35mm and call this my group pre-clip node tree. Grab a still and apply it to all of my groups. I now have a very good starting point for the grade, and I have a look that adheres to all of the aesthetic choices I made when I was building the ShowLUT. Next, I'll apply a fixed node tree on the clip level to the entire project. And I'll run a quick exposure pass, once again, calling on Look Designer. If I activate the Lachman Zones on the timeline level, I can then monitor and adjust my exposure in the first node of my fixed node tree structure, using offset. Giving me a timeline ready for the director and cinematographer to have a look at. Just slightly balancing the exposure. Our DP did a great job exposing this, so there's not much I have to do here at all. And we now have a timeline ready for the director and cinematographer. And thanks to having the ShowLUT carry through the entire color pipeline, there won't be any surprises now when it's time to grade.
Cinematographers and colorists have to be both technical and creative. These two plugins from Colourlab help simplify a lot of the technical aspects of color management, which allows for more time to play with color and find the heart of your story. Thanks to the Colourlab team, I look forward to what they'll come up with next, and thank you for watching.